Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good afternoon to all of the audience. Today, I would like to represent our paper within the title of Detrimental Impact of Indonesian Food Estate Policy, starting from conflict of norms, destruction of protected forests, and its implication to the climate change. When we take a look at the title, there is one keyword that shall be highlighted during the discussion, which is food estate. Next slide, please. It all started from the warning given by the Food and Agriculture Organization. Next slide, please.
Next slide, Mbak Muna.
Or FAO. That has been responded by the government of Indonesia in order to secure its national food supply. Then the government of Indonesia initiated food estate policy, which then included into the National Strategic Program, or PSN. However, in order to perfectly execute this program, this program needs a medium to be fully implemented. Then the government provides a medium which then legalizes the utilization of forest land for the food estate program, including the protected forest through government regulation concerning forestry management. Next slide, please. However, food estate is actually not a new project in Indonesia. It was firstly introduced in 1995 within the name of Peatland Development Project, or PLG, in Central Kalimantan. It was projected to fulfill all of the food stocks in Indonesian citizens. However, by utilizing 1 million hectares of peatlands that will be planted with rice. However, it all ended up with mass land fire, which then leads into the discontinuation of this program, and then this program became unsuccessful. Later on in 2010, the government again brought another food estate policy, which is the Merauke Integrated Food and Energy Estate, or MIFEE, in Merauke in 2010. However, just like the previous program, it became unsuccessful. And the same story happens in 2011 when Delta Kayan Food Estate in Bulungan Regency, East Kalimantan, was established. But then 9 years later, unpredictably, the government then established again a new food estate project during this COVID-19 pandemic in 2020 that continues till now. Next slide, please. When it comes into the method of the research, we utilize the normative research by obtaining the relevant regulation as our primary legal material and related literatures as our secondary legal material, which all of the data will be analyzed descriptively to reveal all of the legal issues. Next slide, please. So when it comes into the result and discussion, there are two primary discussion that we will emphasize more. Next slide. First is the normative review of protected forest utilization in Indonesia's food estate program. There are three emerging issues coming in this discussion. First, the forestry law regulates that the utilization for the food estate the utilization of protected forests for the food estate program will not be included for the timber utilization. However, in the hierarchical lower regulation, which is the Ministry of Forestry and Environmental Regulation number 24/2020, regulates that the protected forest utilized for food estate program is containing with the timber utilization permit, which all of these issues then perpetrate conflict of norms on the utilization of protected forests for the food estate program. Second, the permanent LHK, as I mentioned before, regulates that the protected forest that can be utilized for the food estate program is protected forest that is no longer has its protective function. However, it raised another question on what kind of criteria, what is the specific criteria on qualifying whether a protected forest still has its protective function or no. Second, there is no comprehensive regulatory basis that regulates the rapid KLHS, or we recognize it as the rapid environmental assessment. All of these aforementioned issues then create legal uncertainty regarding various provisions on the utilization of protected forests for the food estate program. Last but not the least is the enactment of the ministerial decree on the management of the KHKP, or the food estate, or the food estate forest area, as a permit for timber utilization will open up opportunities for deforestation, since trees in the protected forest utilized for food estate program are legal to be logged. Next slide, please. Coming into the second primary section, when it comes into the food estate program, it actually brings destructive impact on the protected forest utilization, which accelerates the climate change by looking at the series of events occurred due to this food estate program. First, this food estate program open up the opportunity for land opening activities and timber utilization, which this contributes into deforestation, loss of forest coverage, and forest function degradation. This even can perpetuate forest fires and releasing all of the stored carbons and then leading into the increase of GHG emission, which accelerates the climate change. Next slide, please. Next slide again. Yes, when it comes into the data on Indonesia's national GHG emission, it is shown that the forest and other land use, or FOLU and PIT section, have become the largest contributor on the GHG emission starting from 2000 till 2018, where 2015 was marked as the highest fluctuation of the GHG emission caused by the FOLU and the PIT. Please move backward to the previous slide. In 2019, fires in Indonesia scorched 1 million hectares of forest and land, which during 2017 till 2019, they were the highest hotspot in Berau, Kutai Timur, and Kutai Kartanegara in Kalimantan, caused by the high prevalence of agricultural activities, which is the extensive farming system by land clearing to burn rice plants, which we acknowledge that the implementation of this food estate program will be primarily located in Kalimantan, especially in the ex-PLG area, which is very risky to be burned. Next slide, please. Coming to the conclusion. When we come into, next slide again. Yes, we already come into the conclusion that the legalization of food, of the protected forest utilization, previous slide. Conclusion. Yes, conclusion. Yep. When it comes into the legalization of protected forest utilization for food estate program through the Ministry of Forestry and Environment Regulation number 24/2020 has actually raised several normative issues, many conflict of norms and legal uncertainty. Second, the utilization of this protected forest for food estate program will open up opportunities for deforestation. As you can see on the figures on your left side, that during 1950 till 2020, the loss of forest coverage in Kalimantan continues to rise, which we are afraid that this food estate program could open up opportunities to exacerbate the loss of forest coverage. It will also contribute into the forest function degradation, which leads to the increase of Indonesia's GHG emission and ultimately worsening the conditions of climate change. The third is, this legalization is certainly a regressive act towards the Indonesia's commitment to reduce GHG emission. All in all, we believe that the government shall reconsider the food estate policy, which will not perpetrate any conflict of norms, which preserve and protects the environment and contributing positively into the reduce of GHG emission. That is all from our presentation. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, thank you so much, Mbak Nurul Habib, the good presentation and good English, I think. Yeah. This is talk about the Indonesian food estate policy. Maybe I don't know the detail of this case. I think about the policy from government during the COVID-19, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, this is one question from Professor Bambang Budiasmanto. The question is, what is the problem of food estate program at Indonesia and solution the problem?
Yes.
So, Prof. Bambang wants to know about the solution for this problem. Okay, maybe not only Mbak Nurul, Mas Kun also can answer. Okay. Yeah.
Is it Mas Kun will answer it? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Okay.
Go first. Go.
Yeah, you can add some answers as well. Okay, so thank you so much, Professor, for the question. As I mentioned before, that one of the main problems for food estate program in Indonesia is the utilization of the protected forest. We all know that in the forestry law, and before it was amended in the omnibus law, the forestry law regulates that each region in Indonesia shall preserve 30% of its forest coverage. However, it became amended in the omnibus law, which then opened up opportunity for these protected forests to be utilized for the food estate program. We believe that if this protected forest utilized for food estate program, it will contribute into the acceleration of the climate change. Why? Because all of the forests can then be legally logged and then it will increase into the loss of forest coverage. Yes, it will increase into the loss of forest coverage, which then contribute into the climate change itself. I believe that is the answer. Thank you so much for the question, Professor.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Want to ask?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay,
Your information.
Okay. Mas Gun, want to add something?
No, actually, also related to the question number 2, coming from.
Yeah, this is question number 2.
Yeah, this is become the big question also, not only for us actually, but also for the government, especially post the omnibus law. Because if we read from the not only in omnibus law but also in the its direct derivative in the government regulation, because in the government regulation the government still emphasizes about the food states, and in somehow especially related to the how to coordinate this program between the central government goes to the province and then the city or agency. So if we say that whether need to be continued, if it goes to the based on the regulation, goes to the omnibus law and then the government regulation, it means the answer yes, it should be continued. But the problem is not only talking about continue or cancel, but the big problem is whether this would be the food state program would be create another problem to the climate change or not. That's the big problem actually in the future after because last thing that I will say, it's impossible also for us to adjust whether this law is effective or not because it's since August 2020, and then the governmental regulation in 2021 on February enacted. We still need time to adjust whether those law is effective or not effective. But we can see, and probably by writing this paper, it will bring some new challenges, a new perspective from another. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the answer from Pak Maskun, also from Mbak Nurul. Yeah, so we should move to the another presenter.